So today we're going to make the Alice in Wonderland red flower. So first thing is I'm going in with my Crafters Collection red paint, and I'm going to paint this whole head. I know the back of the head will be covered in felt, but just in case there's anything that's showing, I want it all to be red. So this is my first coat. You're going to do this 3 times. You're going to do 3 coats. This is what the head looks like after the first coat. See, you can still kind of see the white. This is what it looks like after the 3rd coat. So I think it looks a lot better. I don't worry so much on the back just because it will be covered in felt. But after that, we're going to move forward with our petals. So we're going to start off with the petals that go around the face or on the top of the head. And we're going in with your disappearing ink pen and we're outlining that petal. You're going to want 13 of these, but you can decide as you're putting them on if you want to add more or add less. It's totally up to you. But the flower that I did, I had 13 petals that went around her face. Once you have those outlined, just go ahead and cut them out, and then we're going to start placing them onto the mannequin head. For the face petals, I start in the middle, and you can see there's a seam that goes along the outside of the mannequin head. You want to kind of pin your petals along that seam. That's a good indicator to go off of. I pinned mine a little too far back, which I will adjust later on in the video, but you want to pin them because right now it kind of looks like she has a big forehead. I want to bring those petals forward so it doesn't look so big. But once I have my first ones pinned down, I'll then go back and start at the top and I'll start layering the back petals. And then from there, once you have those all laid down, you can kind of step back and see if you need to adjust anything. So here I'm going to move 2 petals forward so that it doesn't look like she has such a big forehead. And then from here, we're going to leave those pinned and we're going to move on with our small petals that we're going to put on the back side of the head. So now we're going to take our small petal template and we're going to lay that onto our red felt, and we're going to take our disappearing ink and outline 8 of these petals. Once you have all 8 outlined, we're going to go ahead and move forward with cutting them out. And then from there, we're going to start to add our pipe cleaner to the back. So for the pipe cleaner, we're going to go in with a V shape on the back side. You're going to take your scissors and you're just going to cut the pipe cleaner so it doesn't go past the petal so you can't see it. And then you're going to go in with your hot glue gun and you're just going to do a light gluing just to secure that pipe cleaner to the felt. Don't do too much or you will burn your fingers. So once you have all 8 petals need to have this V-shape pipe cleaner on the back, then we can move forward with putting it onto the mannequin head. Now, with that first small petal, we're going to put it right in the center on the top of the head. So I'm going to curve the pipe cleaner so they kind of look like an L. And then from there, I'm going to pin that petal down. So I usually do 4 pins. I do 1 at the top, and then 1 at on the side, and then 1 on the other side. And then the last pin I do at the base of the petal. And I know what you're thinking, what about gluing? I don't glue down any of my petals until the very end, which you'll see at the end of this tutorial. So from there, I'll flip it over to the front again, and then I want to kind of like squish it down a little bit so that it's forming around the face. Once I have that first petal set, then I'll move on to the second and third one to add around the face. So with the second small petal, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to bend the pipe cleaner so that it makes kind of an L shape. And then I'm going to line up the bottom of the petal with the one that I just did, so that one's not higher or lower than the other. And then you're going to go in and start pinning. You're going to do 4 pins again, 1 on the base, 1 at the top, and 1 on each side. And then once you have it pinned, you'll do the same exact thing with the first petal. You're going to want to bend those pipe cleaners so that the petal is forming around the face instead of pulling away from the face. And then once you're done with that, we're going to do the same exact thing with the third small petal. So we will line up the bottom of the petal with the first petal, and then we're going to make an L shape curve in the pipe cleaner, and then you're going to go ahead and pin 1 at the base, 1 pin where you curve, where the start of the curve of the pipe cleaner is, and then 1 on each side. Once you have that last one pinned, we're going to move forward with the petals that go underneath the chin. Put the rest of the small petals off to the side. We'll come back to them. So we're going to take our template. We're going to outline 5 of these chin petals onto our felt. And then once you have those outlined, go ahead and cut them out. And then from here, we're going to just add 1 pipe cleaner to the back of each of these petals. So just measure it so that it doesn't stick out from the petal. And you're going to go in with a light glue and just glue that to the center of each of those petals. Once you have the pipe cleaner glued to all 5 of those petals, we will move forward with putting them onto the mannequin. So this is what your mannequin should look like as of right now. She kind of reminds me of the Cynthia doll from Rugrats. But now we're going to move forward with adding her chin petals. So with the pipe cleaner, you're going to kind of curve them so it kind of looks like a tongue. And we're going to start on the side of her jaw. And so I'm going to place her petal about, middle of her neck so that it comes up along her jaw and kind of fans over. So I'm going to do 3 pins for these petals, 2 at the base, and then 1 a little bit higher up where that curve starts to happen for the pipe cleaner. And then from there, I'm going to take my next petal and come up along the other side of her jaw. And I'm matching up where the edges of my petals are, like the bottoms. And I'm going to do the same thing, pin, top pin where it starts to curve. And then I'm going to go in with my 3rd petal and I'm going to do that one right underneath her chin. So it kind of looks like a nice collar or turtleneck that I'm creating around her face. And same thing, 2 pins on the bottom, 1 pin where the pipe cleaner starts to curve. And then for the last 2, I'm doing the same thing. I'm lining up the edges, the bottom of my leaf with the rest of them. And I'm going to just do the same thing, 2 pins on the bottom, 1 where the pipe cleaner starts to curve upwards, and then doing the one on the other side. So this is what it should look like. I'm just kind of going in after I've pinned them and making sure that they're nice and tight up to her face or where her jaw and chin are. And then from there, we're going to go back to our small petals. I believe we have 5 left, and we're going to place 2 of them on the side to hide that gap. And then kind of work from there. So I'm going to place this one kind of like in the middle where the head and the neck connect. And I'm just going to do the same exact thing that I did with the other small petals. You're going to use 4 pins. You're going to kind of do an L-shaped curve in the petal. And you're just kind of filling in that gap along her head. And I'm just kind of matching up on the other side, the other petal, and doing the same exact thing. Once you get done with pinning that petal, this is what it will look like on the back side. And this is what she'll look on the front. And now we're going to move on to our big petals. So we are going to pretty much do exactly the same thing that we did to those small petals. So we're just going to start layering them on top of the small petals that we did. So again, you're going to start in the middle of the head first. You're going to curve your pipe cleaner so that it looks like an L. And then you're just going to make sure that that top petal is high enough up that you see it, okay? And then you go in and pin it. Once you have that petal high enough up that you can see it, go in and add those pins. Again, same thing, 1 at the base, 1 where the pipe cleaner starts to curve, 1 on each side. And then go ahead and move on to your next big petal, which will go right on the other side of it. And same thing. With pinning it down, make sure that it's high enough that you can see it past the small petal in front of it. And then you're going to add the 3rd one to the back side on the other side. Once you are done with the 3 big petals, we're going to go back to the small petals that we have left, which are 3. And this first one we're going to put on the underneath the chin petals. So I line up the edge of the petal to the base of the mannequin head. And again, I do 3 pins, 2 on the bottom, and then 1 where the pipe cleaner curves. And then I just bend the pipe cleaner and kind of push it up into the chin petals so that it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to take the remaining 2 and I'm going to fill in kind of the gaps. So I'm going to put this one on, or pin it on the neck of the mannequin right next to the petal that I just did. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. So when you get done, this is what it will look like on the back side with all the petals pinned. And this is what the front will look like. And now it's time to glue some of the petals down. So how I do this, or what works for me, is I will take some pins out, just one or two at a time, and then I will glue that petal down. Now, if you can't see a pin, like it's hidden under another petal, just glue on top of it. Don't take the pin out. Just keep it there. No one's going to see it. But it's the pins that you can see that you need to take out and then glue that petal down. It's pretty time consuming, but I felt like it's the best way to make sure that your petals don't shift. Because if you end up taking all of your pins out, there's a good chance that you probably don't put them in the right spot. Also, if you start gluing from the beginning before you've laid down all the petals, you could get to a point where you look at it and go, oh, I should have shifted that more forward or backwards, or it needed to be higher. And there's nothing you can do now because they're already glued down. So this is what works for me. I just pin everything first, make sure that the front looks really good before I start gluing everything down. So when you're done, this is what it will look like with no pins on the back side. Nothing special, but the front side is really pretty. So now we're going to go back to the face petals. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the pins out one at a time and start to glue them down. Now I will only glue the base of the petals, only a little bit. I leave the petal to be a little bit more loose because I like the flow of it. I feel like I can kind of mess with them a little bit more, maybe curl them up a little bit, but it's totally up to you. If you want to glue them all the way down onto the face, you definitely can, or you can leave them loose like I do. So some of the pins on the second row of face petals will be too deep underneath the other petals to really pull them out and get to. That's fine, just hide them. You can just put a little bit of glue on where the pin is and just flatten some of the petal on top of it and you won't even see it. Now, if you can take them out, but if you can't, just leave them there and glue on top. And then the last thing is this bottom petal. It's totally up to you. You can glue it if you want, or you can just leave it pinned. No one's going to see the bottom side of this flower. But I usually will take the bottom pins out and glue it, the petal down to the neck. I'll leave that high one there just so that it stays tight and up against the chin petals. But again, totally up to you. If you want to just leave it pinned, no one will notice anyways. And then after that, we are going to be moving on to our leaves. So we're going to get out our green felt. So we're going to start with our small leaf template, and I am outlining it onto the pirate green felt. I do use pirate and Kelly green felt in this flower, but you definitely don't have to switch up greens. You can just do it all of the same color. It's totally up to you. Also, I am so sorry, on my supply list, I did not mention to get green pipe cleaners. I totally forgot. So you will need green pipe cleaners to go with the leaves as well. Once you have those outlined, go ahead and cut them out. We're going to put pipe cleaners on the back side of each leaf. I believe I said you needed to cut 6, but when I did the flower again this time, I only ended up using 5. So you can do 6 and kind of just fill in any gaps, or you can just do 5 and do kind of what I do. Once you have all those pipe cleaners done, we're going to move on to our big leaf for a flower. Now, when you look at this template, I couldn't fit it on one page. So when you'll cut it out, you're going to just line it up and then just take a piece of tape to tape it together on both the front side and the back side so that you can lay it down on I use the Kelly green, which is the darker green felt for the big leaves. And then with the Kelly green, though, it is a dark green, so you can't use your disappearing ink pen for it. You need to use a chalk pen so that you can see it. So with a chalk pen, just be very light with it. You don't have to press down hard. And then once you have it outlined, you'll go ahead and cut it out. But you want to make sure that when you cut it out, you're cutting out all that chalk, because obviously it doesn't disappear. So you want to cut off all that chalk so you don't see it. And then we're going to move on with the pipe cleaners on this one. So with this big leaf, we're going to use 5 green pipe cleaners, and I kind of lay them out, starting on the edge of the leaf and working my way into the center. And I do kind of a curve with the pipe cleaners, so that I can get as much of the leaf as possible, because it is so big. And remember, you're only doing a little bit of glue. You don't want to burn your fingers. I did it so many times with these leaves and petals, but this is what it will look like when you're done. And you're going to do the same exact thing to the second big leaf. Now it's time to start attaching our smaller leaves. So I'm going to start in the center of the neck and then work my way to the outside. So I'm going to line up the edge of my leaf to the edge of the mannequin neck. And then I'm just going in and putting 2 pins at the base of the leaf so that it holds. And then from there, you're going to just kind of pull the leaf forward and down so that you can see it more behind those petals. And then I'm going to go in with my second leaf, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to put it right next to the leaf that I just did, kind of layering it and putting 2 pins at the base of the leaf. And then for the third leaf, I'm doing the same thing on the opposite side, and then just kind of pulling them forward. Now for the 4th and 5th leaf, I'm going to pin it on the bottom of the mannequin head, and I'm going to use 3 pins. So 2 at the base of the leaf, and then I'm going to use another pin as close to the edge of the mannequin neck as I can get, so that it holds it up into the rest of the other leaves. And then once you have those pinned, we're going to move on to our 2 big leaves, and then we'll be done, other than adding fake eyelashes. So with the big leaves, I am just pinning it to the base of the mannequin head, and I'm using a lot of pins. There's probably like 8 pins. Once I have it pinned, I then take my hands and I kind of squish up the pipe cleaner so that it gives it a nice like ripple, kind of not so straight look. And then if you feel like it's falling down, like it's too straight, just go and add more pins so that it lifts it up a little bit. But you're going to do that on both sides. Now, I leave mine pin. If you want to go back and take the pins out and glue it, then you're more than welcome to do that. But for my flowers, I just leave them pinned because no one's going to see them on the bottom anyways. And we are finally done with the petals and the leaves. This is what she should look like. Again, the balloon stand is in my Amazon store, which is linked in my bio. And then I just set her in a Home Depot 2 quarts pot. And then now it's time to add the last thing, which is the false eyelashes. I got these at Dollar Tree. And with these, it's pretty simple. They do, when you got to be careful when you take them off. They do have like a lot of sticky kind of tape to it to hold them in place, which is good and bad because it's kind of a pain to take them off. But that means I don't have to put any glue on them. They just stick perfectly onto the mannequin's eyes, which is nice. It keeps it nice and clean and simple. And we are finally done. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it all made sense. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. And of course, you can find the template for the petals and the leaves in my Etsy shop, which is linked in my bio. And just let me know if you guys want me to do another Alice flower.